The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is back. We got episode 4, and my name is Zach. I'm a novice when it comes down to the Lord of the Rings world. I love the movies. I've quite enjoyed the show so far. And with this show, this episode again continues developing this world, shaping these characters. And very much, last week was a more lower down episode where it only focused on a couple groups. This one focuses back on everyone else but the Harfoot and the Stranger, which I was a little bit disappointed because I was curious to see where that was going now. I'm assuming we'll probably get them next week. At this point, though, we are midway through season 1. At least almost there. Next week will be kind of like the more midway point, but at this point, we're midway through. And I have to say, as incredible as the production design and the cinematography I really loved in the first 2 episodes, I loved the world building in the first 2. This show's really got to pick it up. I think there's some good instances, specifically in this episode, when it comes down to certain storylines throughout here, so I was really impressed with that, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go one by one for each and every one of the storylines, but that is my one gripe I will say right now. And again, it's hard for me to really gripe with it until I see the entire first season, because that's when I can really make my overall judgment. But I will say that I'm still enjoying this show, but nothing has come close to those first 2 episodes personally for me. And those first 2 episodes are still the things that really gravitated me to this. But I do think this was stronger than last week's episode, as it really started to, again, further and establish certain elements in here, and that's what's good about that. But the most important part about these reviews is getting your guys' thoughts, so make sure to leave your thoughts down below in the comment section, as well as hit that like and subscribe button, so we can keep talking movies and TV over here on a daily basis. I love talking movies, TV, Lord of the Rings, House of the Dragons, She-Hulk, whatever you want to talk. That is what I do over here. So, starting without the first storyline, let's get Galadriel and all of Númenor out of the way, because that was a big storyline. Galadriel, she's trying to escape. She wants to go back to the island and, continue her quest for vengeance. But she's also curious to see what is going on with this king who was on the elf side, who maybe would shape to her side. And in this particular episode, not much moved forward with the Númenor storyline until the very end, but there was a lot of development between her and, of course, the queen itself, and I really love a lot of their back and forth. I think there's some good chemistry there, and specifically, again, Clark, her performance as Galadriel is really great. And I like how she calls out pretty much this entire area, but the way that it kind of fleshes out and who's on her side and who is not in Númenor is one of the more important aspects. And of course, that captain who's kind of like been on her side, that has been one of the more important aspects of Númenor itself. And this is, again, a very interesting area that we've never saw in the movies and, again, had only read about in lore. So this is really our first experience with this all. And I love it. I love seeing how Galadriel's kind of going in here. And the way that this entire storyline ended this week with the petals flying down really give that instance of what could these people believe? What does that mean for these people? Because she imagines that her vision she keeps having is the downfall due to Galadriel. But is that true? I think us as fans should know that it's probably not. It's probably because of the impending doom that is coming, which one thing I do love about this episode is that it really feels like a ticking time bomb is starting to go off in each person's story. And that probably by the midpoint, like right before the finale or the finale, we're going to get this giant explosion of depth and characters coming together and darkness looming over the valley. And that's really what this is all building up to. And this is kind of one of the instances of that is, when will Númenor fall? We know it's coming, but when does it? And that's something that I find to be very interesting in here. Now, diving over to Elrond and, of course, the dwarves. This is easily my favorite entire storyline. I love Elrond. I love the dwarves. And I really do think that they are some of the more interesting aspects of this entire thing. Like, when it comes down to the dwarves and everything of that nature, like Durin and Disa and everything like that, they are... The whole background between Durin and Elrond is something that I would totally invest myself for years, because I just think they have such great chemistry, and you can just tell that witty back and forth. And Elrond, when he goes back to his people and, one of them says that he's hiding something from you, that becomes an interesting element. Again, adds to the ticking time bomb. What is he hiding? Everything of that. He goes there, talks to the wife. The wife's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And she lies to him, He ends up finding this out. He goes and finds Durin, confronts him. Durin makes him swear a promise, gives him one of the oars, and then the dwarves all get stuck, which, when that happens, it kind of goes back. Dee says, like, without you, my husband could have gotten lost and all these things and probably been killed. All the dwarves survive, thank God, but this again adds to, what are they mining down there? What is this stone? Where does that go? And again, I'm a novice, so I do not know the future of this. I do not know the lore to this all, so I don't know. I just know it all seems like it's leading to something demonic, something Sauron-wise. And that's where that storyline leads into. Now, like I mentioned, we didn't get anything of course, the Harfoots this week, so we're going to skip right over them and focus on, of course, Theo. Theo's storyline with Brownin, and of course, as well as Arondir, who Arondir this week, last week got caught again by the orcs as they were trying to leave, which they're doing a really good job with the orcs in this show. Like, I find the orcs in this show to be great. I think they're way better than anything in the Hobbit movies, but when it comes down to just, like, pure orcs in Lord of the Rings, they make these guys terrifying. And Arondir has been one of my more interesting characters for me. I really love the performance that this actor gives. And I like how they continue the storyline, but finding out who is the father of these orcs, or calling him the father, this elf-like person that I've never personally seen before. Maybe in lore you guys know who he is and everything of that, but he is someone that seems to be very time-consuming. And, Arondir gets out of there because of him. Ends up finding Theo, who ends up saving Theo, because Theo still has that sword thing which he, threatens the orcs with, which now the orcs know about, which is not good, because that sword thing obviously belongs to Sauron. That older man knew he had it. That's all leading up to hell. And again, that is where really one of the biggest ticking time bombs is where is that going? Who is that going with? What is going to happen with it? And what is that metal? What is that sword? What is that device or item? What can that possibly do? What will that do to Theo? Will it corrupt him? Will it not? Is it kind of like what happens with the ring in Lord of the Rings? Will it corrupt this kid? And that's what, again, ticking time bomb, impending doom. And we're at midpoint. I'm enjoying this. I like seeing this. I love going back to Middle Earth every single week. And like I mentioned, I have my complaints that I wish, the first 2 episodes established a lot. I wanted you to move forward with the story a lot more. It's still taking its time. It's still world building, but this is one of the episodes that, again, continues, builds a lot more, and I'm thankful that this episode did that. It's not my favorite one. It's probably my 3rd favorite out of all the season, but I'm looking forward to what's going on the rest of the season. I'm looking forward to what the finale is going to give us and what it might give us, this big bomb drop to make us anticipate the next season, season 2, because that's what you got to do. And I'm really loving this. Now, the only other thing I have is that I do still have some issues with certain things in Númenor. There's certain characters in there, like Isildur, Irin. These characters that are kind of to the side, I'm not fully invested with them yet. I just do not care anytime it goes to their storylines. Some of the other people of Númenor, it just really, I get what they're doing there. They're fleshing it out, and it probably will build into the entire structure of the story. But those feel like characters that are not needed. Like, they could be side characters that eventually you give more depth to, but as of right now, I do not care about those characters. I do not care about their storylines, and to me, it just added to the padded runtime. And again, might be fleshing out something for the future, but everything else I was more invested in, and that's what I really wish. If you were going to get more of a runtime too, you should focus on those. But those are my thoughts on episode 4 of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Still really enjoying the show. Curious to hear your guys' thoughts. So thank you so much again for watching this. Hit that like and subscribe button. Comment down below your guys' thoughts. I know a lot of you guys are not liking the show for good and bad reasons. And, that's okay. Like, if you don't like this show, that's fine. Just understand that I'm enjoying this show for what it is. Like, this is what I want. I want a fantasy show in Middle Earth, and that's what I'm getting. I don't know all the Tolkien lore. I don't know any of that. I'm just talking as a novice when it comes down to this world. So thank you so much again. And, of course, until next time, stay classy.